The rain was relentless that evening, as if the heavens were crying with him. Marcus stood outside the community center, clutching his 6-year-old daughter Ava's small hand. His coat was soaked, shoes muddy, and heart heavy. He had just come from another failed job interview, his third this week. As a single father who had lost his wife 2 years ago in a car accident, Marcus had been barely holding it together, trying to juggle odd jobs, raising Ava, and keeping hope alive in a world that felt like it had given up on him. They had come to the center for a free meal being offered that evening, something Marcus had read about on a flyer posted outside the local grocery store. He wasn't proud of it, but pride didn't feed a child. The building was old, maze-like. He followed the hallway, trying to find the room where meals were being handed out. Ava's little fingers were cold in his, her eyes scanning the bright murals on the walls with a quiet curiosity. He opened a door marked Room 9, assuming it was the right one. What he saw stopped him in his tracks. Inside was a gathering of well-dressed professionals. Suits. Ties. Dresses. A PowerPoint presentation flickered on a large screen with the title, Annual Grant Awards, Celebrating Heroes in Our Community. Everyone turned to stare at Marcus, drenched, scruffy, with a child clinging to him. "Oh, I'm sorry," Marcus stammered, trying to back out. I think I have the wrong room." A woman near the front stood. She had kind eyes and short silver hair, and she raised a hand gently. "Wait. Don't go." Marcus froze. Ava squeezed his hand tighter. The woman stepped forward and smiled. "What's your name?" "Marcus." "And this is my daughter, Ava," he said quietly, the embarrassment creeping up his neck. "You're welcome to sit," she said, gesturing to a couple of empty seats near the back. Marcus hesitated, then, seeing no judgment, only warmth, he nodded and guided Ava to a seat. He didn't know it yet, but entering that wrong room would change everything. The presentation continued. Videos played, showing volunteers, community workers, and everyday people doing extraordinary things. Marcus listened as they honored a teacher who had used his own money to feed hungry students, a mechanic who repaired cars for single moms for free, and a young man who created a shelter in his basement for runaways. As each story unfolded, Marcus felt something stirring inside him, something he thought he had lost: belief. Hope. A reminder that maybe kindness still lived somewhere in the world. Then the woman with silver hair, her name was Linda, stepped back to the podium. "We were going to end tonight by announcing one final surprise recipient," she said, scanning the room. "But perhaps fate had a better idea." Murmurs rippled through the audience. "I was just handed a letter," she continued, holding up a folded piece of paper. "It's from one of our volunteers who was helping at the community kitchen this week. She wrote about a man she saw comforting a little girl who was crying because the food had run out. He gave her the last of his soup, even though he hadn't eaten himself. She didn't know his name, only that he was kind, and his daughter called him Daddy." Marcus's breath caught. Linda smiled and looked directly at him. "I think he just walked into our room." Marcus blinked, stunned. Ava looked up at him, whispering, "Daddy, that's you." People began to clap, softly at first, then louder. Marcus sat frozen, overwhelmed by disbelief. He didn't know what to do. He hadn't come for this. He had just wanted a warm meal for his daughter. Linda motioned him to the front. He stood on shaky legs, lifting Ava into his arms. As he approached, Linda placed a hand on his shoulder and said into the mic, "Marcus, this isn't just about an act of kindness. It's about how the smallest gestures can show the biggest hearts. You've been through more than most, yet you still gave. You are exactly who this grant was made for." She turned to the audience. "Tonight, we are awarding Marcus and his daughter a $10,000 community grant, along with a job training sponsorship and housing assistance." The room erupted in applause. Marcus couldn't hold back the tears anymore. They came, quiet and grateful, running down his face as Ava hugged him tightly. He tried to speak but no words came, only a trembling whisper, "Thank you." Later, after the crowd had dispersed and people came up one by one to shake his hand or offer congratulations, Marcus sat with Linda in the corner of the room. "I don't know how to begin to thank you," he said. "You already did," she replied with a warm smile. "By showing up for your daughter. By being someone she can look up to. The world needs more fathers like you." He looked down at Ava, who was sipping hot chocolate and chatting with a woman who had offered to donate books and toys. "I didn't think anyone saw us," he said quietly. "We see you," Linda said. "And more importantly, people need to hear your story. Because your life, your struggle, and your love for that little girl. It's exactly what reminds the rest of us what humanity truly means." In the weeks that followed, Marcus's life began to shift. He received job training and soon landed a stable position as a facilities coordinator at the very same community center. They moved into a small but cozy apartment nearby, and Ava started at a school where she finally had her own desk, her own books, and even new shoes. One evening, after a long day of work, Marcus tucked Ava into bed. She looked up at him and whispered, "Daddy, I like the wrong room." He chuckled, kissing her forehead. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Epilogue. It's strange how life works. How a misstep can become a miracle, how entering the wrong room can open the right door. Marcus didn't plan to be seen that night. He didn't come seeking praise. He only wanted to feed his daughter. But what he found was a room full of people ready to remind him that even in the darkest seasons, light still exists. And sometimes, the universe has a way of guiding the broken-hearted toward exactly where they need to be, if they just keep walking forward, even through the rain. If this story touched you, share it. Somewhere out there, a struggling father just like Marcus needs to know he's not alone. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the room he walks into. Where are you reading from? Leave a comment, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread a little kindness today.